From the earliest chapters of human history, the vast sweep of land stretching from the Volga basin to the shores of the Black Sea, territories that today form much of Russia and Ukraine, served as a crossroads for countless nomadic cultures. Long before the rise of cities or states in the region, waves of Bronze and early Iron Age societies moved across these plains, leaving behind monumental burial mounds that still dot the steppe. These kurgans, enormous earth mounds raised over the graves of local elites, stand like ancient markers of hierarchy, ceremony, and power. Writing in the first millennium BCE, the Greek historian Herodotus grouped the Iranian-speaking nomads who dominated this wide frontier under a single name, the Scythians. For him, Scythia described less a nation than an entire cultural world that stretched far beyond what maps of his era could clearly define. As the centuries rolled forward into late antiquity and the early medieval period, the steppe frontier remained a stage of constant movement. New confederations emerged, Huns, Avars, Khazars, and later the Pecheneg, each rising, sweeping westward, and reshaping the political rhythms of the lands they crossed. Much like what happened across post-Roman Europe, these nomadic coalitions altered borders, redirected trade, and influenced local elites. Meanwhile, deeper within the forests and forest steppe, Slavic-speaking populations grew in number. Though they shared linguistic roots and similar cultural practices, these early East Slavs lived in separate, self-governing tribes, scattered across a huge expanse. By the late 8th century, a new set of actors entered this landscape, the Scandinavian seafarers known in Eastern sources as the Varangians. Picture longships gliding along river routes that connected the Baltic Sea with the Black Sea, routes that were part trade highway, part raiding corridor, and part mercenary trail. According to the primary chronicle, compiled in the early 12th century, several Slavic and Finnic tribes eventually invited a Varangian leader named Rurik to bring order to the region. Tradition places his base in Novgorod, and from him emerged the Rurikid dynasty. Under his descendants, the term Rus came to denote both the ruling elite and the diverse communities under their authority, ultimately giving its name to the land itself. Rurik's successor, Oleg, pushed farther south and seized Kiev around 882 CE. With that, Kiev emerged as the political heart of a growing realm historians now call Kievan Rus, a state sitting at the crossroads between the Slavic world and the Byzantine sphere. In the late 10th century, Grand Prince Vladimir, Volodymyr, adopted Eastern Christian rites, a move that not only unified the religious life of his domains but also forged a powerful diplomatic and cultural link with Constantinople. Under his son, Yaroslav, celebrated as Yaroslav the Wise, Kievan Rus reached its apex. He issued legal codes, strengthened governmental structures, encouraged scholarship, and expanded territorial control. Many historians regard this era as the golden age of Kievan Rus, when it stood among the most sophisticated states of medieval Europe, but golden ages rarely last. After Yaroslav's death in 1054, rivalries among his heirs fractured the realm into competing principalities. And just as internal unity faltered, a new power was rising in the east, the Mongols. In 1223, a Mongol expedition crushed a coalition of Rus princes and their Kipchak allies at the Kalka River before withdrawing. They returned between 1237 and 1240 under Bada Khan with devastating force. City after city fell, Kiev was reduced to ruins in 1240. Only Novgorod survived by choosing submission instead of resistance. During these turbulent years, one figure stood out, Alexander Nevsky of Novgorod. While navigating Mongol dominance, he turned westward to repel new invaders, defeating the Teutonic Knights on the frozen lake in 1242, a victory that secured his place among Russia's most revered heroes. In the aftermath of these conquests, the Mongols absorbed the Rus principalities into the Golden Horde, ruling from Sarai on the lower Volga. Rus princes became vassals who paid tribute and received yarliks, charters confirming their right to govern. Later East Slavic chronicles would remember this era with a grim phrase, the Tatar yoke. The balance of power shifted again in the 14th century. Daniel, son of Alexander Nevsky, laid the foundations for the rise of Moscow, a principality that grew steadily while the Golden Horde underwent Islamization under Uzbek Khan. To the west, The Grand Duchy of Lithuania defeated Tatar forces at Blue Waters around 1362 and gained control of Kiev. In 1380, the Muscovite prince Dmitry Donskoy led a coalition of Rus rulers to a symbolic victory over the Golden Horde at the Battle of Kulikovo. Although the Mongols remained powerful for decades afterward, the battle marked a turning point. Moscow was emerging as a serious contender for leadership among the Rus lands. By the 15th century, the Golden Horde splintered into rival khanates. In 1453, the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire sent shockwaves throughout the Orthodox world. Some churchmen began promoting the idea of Moscow as the Third Rome, the last guardian of Eastern Christianity. Ivan III capitalized on this momentum, annexing Novgorod and asserting dominance over other Rus territories. His standoff with the horde at the Ugra River in 1480 ended without bloodshed but symbolized Moscow's escape from Mongol control. Under his successor Vasily III and especially his grandson Ivan IV, Moscow's influence grew rapidly. In 1547, Ivan IV became the first ruler crowned as Tsar of all Rus. His reign mixed ambitious reform with terrifying brutality. He expanded eastward, conquering the khanates of Kazan and Astrakhan, paving the way for Russia's vast future empire. Yet the violence of his oprichnina plunged the state into instability. In 1571, Crimean Tatar forces even managed to burn parts of Moscow, though Russian troops won a decisive victory at Molody the following year. Meanwhile, along the steppe frontier, Cossack communities were rising. These semi-autonomous groups, skilled riders, fighters, herders, and hunters, became influential players in regional conflicts. One of their leaders, Yermak Timofeyevich, set in motion Russia's push across the Ural Mountains, marking the beginning of the centuries-long conquest of Siberia. After Ivan IV's death, his frail son Fieferi reigned briefly before dying childless in 1598, bringing the ancient Rurikid dynasty to an end. Boris Godunov took the throne, but his sudden death plunged the country into chaos. What followed is remembered as the Time of Troubles, an age of impostors claiming the throne, civil strife, famine, plague, and intervention by both Poland and Sweden. Polish forces occupied Moscow, Swedish armies seized Novgorod. By the early 17th century, the Russian state hovered on the brink of collapse, its future uncertain until a new ruling structure gradually emerged.